want to know how's been your journey. You started out from a cement company to tax travel, from tax travel to Swiss Air to InterGlobe, and then growing through the ranks. It's been an interesting journey for you. Can you tell us how did you keep up with the pace, and what are the challenges that you faced?
Yeah, I did my chartered accountancy, and as a part of my training and post qualification, I joined this company as for the cement company. So that was really, and once I joined in, I grew in that company. And when I was a student of chartered accountancy, I used to work for Mr. Kapil Bhatia, who is our chairman and of InterGlobe. So I used to do his tax work as a young boy, doing his returns, carrying papers for him, carrying papers to and fro. So one fine day I get a call from my superiors in my chartered accountancy period that there is an opportunity in Delhi Express Travels, and why don't you come and meet Mr. Bhatia? Now I was almost in awe of that person, and I continue to be in awe of Mr. Bhatia. He's an amazing human being. And when I got an opportunity, instantly I said, yes, I will go and work for him. That's how I landed up in Delhi Express Travels, and my romance with the travel trade started that day when I came and worked with Mr. Bhatia.
And that was back in 1985.
That was 1985. And that's how that time Delhi Express was a GSA company, a fairly large size in that time. And, I started my journey. And then in 91, when Swiss Air came online to Delhi, I got an opportunity to be their lead finance person. And I thought it was an opportunity to get some international experience, and also to get some new education with an international company. So I thought I'll go and have a go with Swiss Air. And then I moved on to Swiss Air. In the meantime, Mr. Bhatia and Mr. Rahul Bhatia, who's now the boss of InterGlobe, they formed a company called InterGlobe at that time, while I was away. And then when things kind of settled down, we spoke to each other and decided to work one more time. So in many ways, there was Swiss Air and all of it thrown in between, but in many ways, it's been a continuous journey with the family, the Bhatia family, Mr. Kapil Bhatia first, and now Mr. Bhatia as well as Mr. Rahul Bhatia. So I work with them, and that's my InterGlobe journey. And then since then, I have not looked back. That was in 96 when I came back to work for Mr. Bhatia. And now only difference was Mr. Rahul Bhatia had become a very active player at that time. When I left, he was also settling in India. He had come from outside India. So then I have not looked back.
That's great. So in this journey that you had, the one point that I can take out is that you went back to the same employers and they took you with pleasure. So how you define this? Like with the young people today, they often switch jobs, but sometimes they don't want to come back because they leave a bad impression or they don't have a good impression. What was your take?
Clearly, the one gyan that I've had all my life is always have good sangati.
That's right.
A great company. And for me, working for Mr. Bhatia Senior, and then working for both Mr. Senior Bhatia and Mr. Rahul Bhatia was great learning, great character. And, I became a better human being. And to me, that was the most important decision-making factor. Whenever I got an opportunity to be close to them, I came. So it wasn't that difficult for me. I did move away to gain some experience, which I did, which helped me in my future years, because international experience also has its own advantages. And then I came and worked. It wasn't a difficult decision at all for me. And whenever you work with sincerity. And like I always say, when we all work, we work for a legacy. And legacy is not about a prime minister or a leader leaving a legacy. Every Everybody who works in life leaves a legacy. And basically what it means is an imprint. And if you are honest, dedicated worker, you leave an imprint and you create your own value.
I think it shows from what you said just now, how Mr. Bhatia's treated you. I think that's the only way you go back.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Those values are
Absolutely. Yeah, and hopefully for them, they found somebody who was honest and committed.
And I guess that's why they got back to you.
Yeah, probably it worked for both of us. It worked. Yeah, it was. On both sides. It was positive, and that's why we started to work together again. And I continue to work with them till date.
So, talking about your journey so far in InterGlobe, you had so many positions that you changed when you started off, and now when you are at the helm of the affairs. What were the challenges during the transition period you had to deal with, because you were doing more finance? And then now you are heading up CEO position and the president stuff. So what do you think has been the changes and how did you cope with it? Because I'm sure these challenges were huge, and for you also it would have been challenging, because when we see it from outside, it seems that, oh man, I mean, he must have known everything to reach here. So do you think that this is the right thing, that people think that he would know everything?
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. It's been learning. We have all learned. Nobody knew anything at one stage. But again, if you're honest and committed to learning and you have a great team around you, it's a matter of time. And many people ask me this question, you have stayed forever in a group. Didn't you get kind of fatigued out?
Yeah.
And I tell them, actually, it's not one company that I worked for. InterGlobe kept growing, and InterGlobe kept reinventing and getting into new businesses.
They kept innovating.
New businesses, technology, travel distribution, hotels, airlines, a pilot training academy, a GSA, I mean, you name it, everything in the restaurant business. I mean, we are into so many real estate. So there were many jobs in a job. So that kept you, going. And it kept you always like a student, because everything was new for us. We didn't know hotel, we didn't know aviation, we didn't know many things. But, with some experts in the business, and some of us also learned the game. And it was, a beautiful journey in that way of the growth. The challenges, yes, there have been challenges all through. Whenever you start a new business, we had bad times, we had challenging times, great times. And, but, you always kind of take it as a moment in time and not get too swayed either way, and focus on your basics again, learning, development, just do the right things, hold on to your ethics, stuff like that. And like they say, ultimately you'll get there. It's only a matter of time.
So it's a question of just keep going and finding your way.
Absolutely. You have to back yourself. You have to first say where you are and what industry you are in and what's the future of that. And if you believe that that's the right thing, then you back yourself and go for it. And, develop.
It also depends on the kind of leader that is leading you.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it makes a lot of difference.
Yeah. Amazing organization InterGlobe is empowering. They hold you accountable, but they support you. They let you be your own leader. Develop by making mistakes. I made huge mistakes myself, but ultimately you learn from that.
It's more entrepreneurial.
Absolutely. All of us. Many people ask me, do you have some stake? Do you have some, some interest? How come you are hanging on forever? It's not about that. It is just about focusing on what you have and being your own boss. I always say, I am InterGlobe. I always say that. That is the pride, we need to have. And that is one big message I have for everybody. This pride is very important. Pride in yourself, pride in your company, pride in your family, pride in your country. We need to have pride. We always feel, down and out. I always see people, always, everywhere. And, you have to have pride. And if you don't have any, we are shy of things. We say, no, whether it's family.
Yeah, we have complaints, but we don't do nothing about it.
So, you should be very proud. And I'm very proud of the company that I have worked for. I continue to be very proud. And, I think that just gives you that extra energy to deliver.
Right. So, talking about your journey so far, I've been able to understand that, it's been great leadership that you've been following, and you had, great mentors within the company who help you to get into this position and actually accept the challenges. Coming on to the IndiGo story, that's very interesting. Somebody told me that it was you who actually got them the first initial loan. So, I don't know if it's wrong or right, but I would like to know from you, what was the story?
The story is that we were part of the startup team. I was also part of the startup team, and we had our responsibilities divided. And funding, my colleague who was in IndiGo and we were given the job, and we reached out to the bankers, and we did have a little bit of a challenge, like you always have when you're asking for funding, but I think we achieved it, and I feel very proud of the fact that it was largely led by my colleague. But when we got this funding, I told only two things to the that time director, who unfortunately is no more, but a very close friend. And I said, sir, I only want to tell you two things. Today we have come, we have a need. The first thing I want to tell you is that you will be very proud of this airline, and it had just started. And two, I told him that your help and your favor will never be forgotten. And I think we lived up to both the conditions, and especially the second part, when IndiGo became public, we had to have independent directors, and Mr. Bhatia reminded me. You'll be quite surprised. Time passes, people forget.
Absolutely.
And when the time came to appoint independent directors, Mr. Bhatia reminded me that you have given a commitment which is pending. Yeah. That is pending. And then we invited Mr. Mahamalya, who was our chairman in IndiGo, to come on board. And you felt really great about it, that you said two things, and you lived up to that, and that also makes you just that.
It was a very emotional moment.
Very emotional moment, and also very satisfying moment.
So I think the one takeaway that from your talk is that once you commit, you have to complete it no matter what.
Oh, absolutely. We live, end of the day, we people have, what have we got? We have nothing but our word and a commitment.
That's right.
And if you live up to it, you build your own equity. People respect you for that.
And that defines your brand.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you don't succeed every time. But as long as you really put in your 100% to make it happen, I think people respect it. That yes, he said something and he tried to make it happen.
So it was a great success. Talking about success, what is your definition of success?
Yeah, my definition of success is setting milestones, achieving them, feeling good about it, from failures, taking your learnings and achieving them. That to me is success. And success to me is not like a one-time success. It's an everyday success. You enjoy every moment and you rejoice every moment, on your small successes. So I have always lived my life like that. Small goals, small achievements. You feel good, you set up new goals, and then you set up new achievements. It's so much more satisfying, and stretch your goals and achieve them. I think that
because a lot of people today, especially young people, they define success with the amount of money that you have.
Recently, I met a young lady, my niece's friend, and she came up to me and said, "Uncle, I want to ask you a question. How do you get rich?" And I told her that, you get rich when you do everything right and not chase money. When you don't chase money, then the money chases you in a way. And what I mean is, you do the right things, focus on the right stuff, and then the other things follow, which includes money. This is what I meant, when I explained to her.
Right.
And I am a great believer in that keep at it. Don't lose heart. Look at every day as a fresh day, new opportunity. Go for it, make it happen. And all the other things in life, the titles and the monies and the outwardly success, all that will come. I am a great believer in that. That will come. But the focus can never be that.
Because a lot of people are very happy to see the outside world, but they don't know what went behind the scenes to actually get there.
To my mind, success to most people comes through hard work and right things. And it's not a moment in life, it's a journey. So one sees that moment and says, wow, he's hit it. So I feel you've got to be patient, you've got to keep working at it, and success sooner or later will come. My definition of success. Youngsters I know today are a bit impatient. They want everything on the day one. Unfortunately,
you want instant gratification.
Yeah. For some it happens.
Like next day you order and it arrives and the door.
For some it happens, but for most it's a shortcut, and shortcuts to my mind don't last very long. I think if you're a sustainable model, then you have to work through the sustainable route, which is again, and that is how I have learned at least. And I don't think anybody is more positive than I am. But positive doesn't mean that, I didn't get this, so I should hang my head and all. You don't mix the things. When I have to deliver, I have to deliver. When I have to work with the organization, I don't have to think, such and such got something more than I, so why should I, stuff like that. But I feel if you're on the right path, success will come. I have no doubt about it.
So you spoke about failure in the earlier comment that you mentioned. Do you think that is a very important part of being successful?
Very much, very much. In fact, not only is failure a very important part of success or your journey, but also failure shows you the value of, the good times and makes you a better human being. And one more thing I would want to say about failure is that one thing I learned in InterGlobe is that even failure can be celebrated. Failure doesn't need to be, that you should be mourning. I remember in 2001, our main business line was the GSA business. Right. And 9/11 happened. And United Airlines was our main, client. And they withdrew. They had 2 flights around the world. They withdrew. And all hell broke loose. What will happen? And that year, Mr. Bhatia had a party at his house for the New Year's. And, and he celebrated, and he said, we'll celebrate. To me, it was first was a shock.
That is unreal.
Unreal. And then I said, wow, what a way to look at life. I'm there, I'm going, I'm alive, I'm kicking. It's one moment in my life, I'll turn it around. Right. So, that also shows the strength of your character. Mm-hmm. And I think it also sends a very strong message to the teams, Just imagine how teams would be looking at you all the time, what will happen. And when boss celebrates, you start to feel good, everything seems to be right. So I think failure has great lessons, and I also feel failure should be celebrated.
That's great. I mean, this is a great perspective of celebrating failure, because a lot of people just quit.
Yeah.
And fail, and then they take failure very personally.
Absolutely.
Since you spoke about celebrating failure and the kind of value that you got out of this party that happened when the chips were down, I want to talk about leadership, right? You are a leader yourself, leading from the front. Can anybody be a leader, or you just have to have a title first to have a leader? Be a leader.
No, I am a great believer in the book Leadership Without Title by Robin Sharma, where he actually emphasizes that leaders actually distract you. My apologies. Title actually distracts you and pulls you down. That is part of the offering. But leaders set the tone, and they are not necessarily leading from the front. They can be right behind you. So leadership is different styles to different people. But to me, leadership in a very broad way means walk the talk. People should actually see you doing exactly what you're asking or expecting them to do. I think if you do that, not only you gain respect from the team, but in your own eyes, and you get your own focus because you are doing the right thing. And if you do the right things, then right things follow. So I think leadership is about really setting the right tone in the organization and then doing it yourself first. And the team, people are great. They look very quickly, they figure out if you really walk what you're talking, and they follow you, and they get inspired. It's not about following specifically, it's about getting inspired to do something beyond you. Right. And people can do magic. Yeah, people's power is so great, and most of the time we belittle the people. We feel it's only the leadership domain or leadership capability that you can lead. No, everybody can do that. And if you empower, like I have been empowered in my own working career, I think people can do magic. Yes, you have to skill them, you have to develop them, you have to love them, you have to pull them, you have to support them. But I think people can do magic. I'm a great believer in people and a great believer in relationships. I'm a great believer.
I think the point that you mentioned is really striking my head right now of celebrating failure. And that's one of the key leadership points that I would say that we could highlight, saying that, you have to take care of your people when chips are down.
Absolutely.
And take care of people who are actually doing the business, right?
Yes.
You don't necessarily have to be like the first one to do that, but actually taking care of people who are actually taking
care. Yeah, when we lost this majority of our business, and people were wondering and thinking whether they will be sacked or, replaced, our ownership at that time said, there's no question of anyone going away. But now that we have time, because the business is less, time is more, let's concentrate on learning and development. And I think that is the time when most of the company's money was spent in developing people. And, it in a way set up the platform for the next big growth of InterGlobe. Because, people were there, they were motivated, they had got new learnings. And I think that is where you have to focus on rather than hanging your head or sacking a few people, because that will not get you.
PNL is always a concern, but I guess this is a different scenario.
And I have been a finance man, and for me, using this language, for numbers are important, but there are more important things than numbers.
So you cannot put a person in front of a person behind a number.
No.
Numbers matter, but I think person matters.
And your whole forward journey. What do you need? By cost cutting and no plan, you will get nowhere. It will just become more cost cutting.
If you see a lot of startups today to really increase the revenue, they cut down the headcount, and that has been like the strategy for balancing the books. If you understand, you understand this much better than anybody else.
Absolutely,
it's a different scenario in InterGlobe.
So I'll tell you, part of our inspiration also comes from this. So one of the airlines we represent is SAS, Scandinavian Airlines, and the one-time CEO, his name was Jan Carlson, and he wrote a book, Moments of Truth. And in that so the punchline I am quoting from that book is, so the background is when he got this losing airline, this person as a leader realized that what should he do? Should he cut costs because it was losing airline, or should he invest money? And he decided to change the color of the airline by getting a nice drink with an olive in it and put in more money. And what they did was, and he refurbished the planes. And what he actually ended up doing was that, Europe is mostly 1 hour, 1.5 hours of flying. So everybody gets into the plane in the morning. So when people got in the morning, they found a nice drink in the morning with an olive and all of it that made them feel great. And they started getting attracted to SAS. And the punchline is, do you spend less to earn more, or do you spend more to earn more? That is the underlying ethos of the book. That it is not necessarily that I have to cut costs to earn more. I can spend more to earn more also.
That's great. I mean, if you can invest in the right things,
Yeah.
take the right decisions,
Yeah. If
you can definitely earn more. I think this is a message for the industry.
Absolutely.
A lot of people think that, bad times, online is coming, this is happening, it's going to kill us. But actually, they need to train themselves to get ready for the next time.
I sometimes get worried and disheartened when I meet some of my industry colleagues, because it's almost like given up. And what do I do? There's nothing happening. Sorry. The leaders are coming from today's time only. They're coming from the same breed.
Right.
So we need to concentrate on learning, skilling ourselves, and just getting better at what we are doing.
Right.
And every time just cutting the cost, which is what
this is like a shortcut.
Yeah.
That you were talking about. This is no therapy.
Absolutely. And
the problem.
And this is music coming from a accountant. Basically I'm an accountant.
I'm amazed that, we have always had, everybody had a problem with accountants. And I believe that, the accounting guy is the one who's the main person to run the business in the right way, because they blame everybody but themselves. But this is a new perspective that I'm getting from you, that being from the accounting background, being the CFO, doing everything on numbers, I think this is quite an amazing message that you need to invest more in people.
Absolutely.
When the chips are down, you'll have more time to think, and then you can do better.
If to make money, you've got to invest. Invest in yourself, invest in equipment, invest in technology, but keep investing. And that is the message. Only then you will turn things around. Not by saving money or cutting costs. It will get you nowhere. It will get you actually in a bigger hole.
In your current role, what is your one goal that you want to achieve in 2019 as a leader for InterGlobe Technologies?
See, a standard line would be to make it the market leader, to make to give great returns to the shareholders and have a great team. But honestly, for me, my 19 goal is how to get better at what we are doing today. To the travel partner who supports us, what can I do to help him in his journey through, value add? I think these are the things which will ultimately get you a bigger success again.
If I understand it right, it's like, how can I make you more profitable?
Absolutely, absolutely.
By the tools that we build.
Profitable, efficient, whatever you do, ultimately the goal will be profitable. Like I say, money will come. Money, if it's a goal, you cannot sell and make more money. It can never be.
Sure.
You have got to keep at it. And I have this little story about this little boy who went to President Roosevelt when he was the president of US and said, Mr. President, I want to become like you. I want to become the president. So he says, sure, son, it's very easy. Just jump at the first opportunity. So the boy asked, that's great, and I'll become president. He said, of course you'll become president. And then the little boy asks the president, Mr. President, how will I know when to jump? He says, that's a secret, my boy, keep jumping. So, keep jumping, keep at it, and you will hit it, So it's really about that.
I think that's a great story. Because people just jump once and then they feel that.
Yes. Every day we see examples of new people coming, only in our travel business, new people coming and making a mark for themselves. How come the larger community is always petrified of the big names and naming them and saying there's no future and this type of business and that type? There's business for everybody. You just have got to think your own story. And your story would not be my story. We all have a different narrative. We have to find a different story. But that's why everybody succeeds. That's why new people come and roll over the existing players.
Because they have a different perspective altogether from what people have been seeing for many years. There is enough opportunity.
They come without baggage. They come without baggage. If you see example in sports, all these youngsters today, they don't care who you are. They just come and start hitting. And if you see that IPL,
absolutely,
they don't know who you are. They don't know they don't care for your reputation. only when you are more matured, you start to care, or hey, such and such is coming, I better be careful. So, it's about that.
So, you were mentioning that, like IPL, you made an analogy that young people are coming and they're hitting hard and then
You see how they are, unknown names.
So, this is the same with our industry where young people are now entering, and more young people are entering as we have the demographics our way in India. What do you think they should do when they kick off their journey to really make a mark?
So clearly, at one level, they should learn few things from oldies like me, which is, again, relationship has huge power.
Right.
Keep yourself focused, keep patient.
Yeah, that's a key.
That's a key. So these are the things they can learn from the oldies. But from themselves, they should have the firepower and the strong heart of going for the kill, not getting worried if you have 10 runs to score of the last over. Have that spirit of delivering, keep skilling yourself, keep learning new things, because it's all in the public domain now, thanks to Google and all of it. But you have got to pick the right things. Keep getting right advice. Find good, coming back to from where I started, good sangati, mentors. Reach out to people, ask them. I sometimes worry about these youngsters. They don't ask. They know it. Yes. They should ask. Because when you ask, you get a gift.
And asking is for free, right?
And asking is for free, and you always get a gift. Always you'll get a gift in life. Dare to ask. And I would always encourage them from the younger lot that, dare to ask. Never be shy of being, of looking like, that they don't know, which there is no shame in asking, and you get better all the time. So I think with their energy and some of the older people's values, I think it's a lethal combination. It has to be a mix. And I have no doubt that, especially in the travel business, with this great growth story that is propelling India, I was just mentioning to our friends I met a little while back that by 10, 12 years, India could become an economy bigger than US, just by going at 7%, which is kind of given with the reforms.
Right.
So, that is the kind of country and the new middle class and the new airports and the new aircrafts. I think it's such a huge scope. Absolutely. And I feel so terribly excited.
I think it's just getting started, isn't it?
It's just getting started.
Yeah, it's just not.
And I really worry, they get worried, because I think the world is for them to pick. They just have to just go focus and make it happen. I think that's what it is about.
That's a great message. As a CEO, what is your communication method to your colleagues?
I'm a very informal guy. I don't have any emailing. It's an open door policy. My colleagues, great colleagues, we just exchange notes all the time. We're talking all the time, whether on the phone or in person, wherever we are. We keep talking to each other. We keep supporting each other. I get more support from them than I give them. And we just keep at our work. We don't worry too much about protocols. That's the culture InterGlobe has. Go do your work. Empowering, as I mentioned, that's the same thing that goes on.
One word that you have repeated.
Yeah. That is critical.
I'm sure that's like a value.
That's critical to an organization's growth, and we have been very focused in this area. And I think if with this focus, we continue to do our work, we deliver. We are all there for one another. But very informal culture, very informal. It's not for me to say, but if you were to speak to my colleagues, they will very much vouch for it, I can tell you, because that's a culture. And I'm always, I'm a very people's man. I love people, and especially youngsters, because I believe in learning a lot and interacting a lot with the youngsters. I always learn from them. So I spend a lot of time, be it my office colleagues, be it my daughter's friends and youngsters, because they teach me a lot, and I love to spend time with them. So
I think I see a youngster within you, because I think you are competing with us, and I think that is a great
absolutely
thing to learn from you.
Honestly, every day when I go home, I keep thinking, and it is not for me to keep a job or to get some advantage from a job, but I keep thinking, how do I better myself? Not get better of you. How do I get better than what I was yesterday? What do I read more? What do I learn more? Am I up to it? And also, from the colleagues in the organization and outside. And that is why it's very important to be outwardly. Always be outwardly, whether in work, which is what I tell everybody, don't be siloed in what your job is. And that is why I could make a migration from a hardcore finance guy to a feet on the street job.
Because you always want to learn.
Because I always wanted to be open. If somebody said, I have a problem with this, say, client, I would say, I know him, main chalun saath. So, many times people will say, tere ko kya lena hai? What do you get out of it,
Right.
But in the end, you end up learning and you build up, your own, like, to use your word, your own brand.
That's right. Absolutely.
And that is what you get known for. So, and that is what helps you. So, be outwardly, look beyond your own job, own domain, and whether in office life or private life, and meet more people. Because power of people cannot be measured. And, today's youngsters spend more time on their Google and phone, which is great.
Fine.
I mean, they've got information. I'm not criticizing them. But I think talking to people also, relating with people also has great learnings.
It's about hearing stories, right?
Yes,
I think
yes.
everybody has a story where it's about asking.
Yes.
Being open.
Yes.
And really, really learning from them.
Absolutely.
Implementing and reflecting on what you have learned.
Absolutely.
Is a game.
Yeah. And for me, the mantra is go beyond. Keep going beyond of what you are. Don't worry about who you are. Don't worry. But try and get better from there. How you get better, find ways.
So it doesn't have to do with if I become like a CEO only, then I can be in the forefront.
Not at all. Not at all.
It can be from anywhere.
Not at all. Like I always say, we all are known for the legacy we leave. And legacy, even an office boy leaves, and a maid at home leaves, and you remember them and you value them for what they did.
I remember you told me a story about the maid.
Yeah. My daughter, just wants the maid back, and she, and I was telling this maid, I said, wow, you are a great leader. And of course, she didn't understand what leadership meant, but I said, everybody wants you. And so obviously you're doing some great things that you are wanted, you are in demand, you do the right things. And again, that to me is leaving a legacy, because then people remember you for what you do and want you back. Wow, that's a great statement. And to me, she's a great, she's a great
She
contributor.
did something right,
Yeah.
which really made, left a mark.
Whoever. And that is why I keep saying, it is not about, we get very down when we don't have that designation, when we don't have that position, that money, that package, like the gentleman or the lady sitting next to me, because I feel, she's more, so unse karao. But, I forget that it is about me leaving a legacy. Because when you, again, if you focus on the right thing will happen to you. How much you learn and how much you contribute to the organization. And end of the day, organization respects that. And you get your so-called title and position because you have done all of the right things.
Right.
Right. It does go in your favor. Because the same people speak for you.
So it's about getting ready for the next one.
Absolutely.
You need to do the work
Absolutely.
now, and then you need to do the
am I next ready?
Yeah.
Am I truly next ready?
That's right.
Yeah. If
So you have to evaluate that first before you ask your superior to do your evaluation.
And nobody can answer better than you yourself. For example, I every day feel that there's so much to learn and there's so little time. And I'm sure that, and I do get worried when sometimes people say, I have no work, I'm done with work and there's nothing new for me. And I say, excuse me, who will teach you something new? There's so much of, world. Why don't you learn on your own and keep learning?
And today you have so many online resources to learn.
Absolutely.
And of course, you hear people on YouTube, they are just,
and people. I can come to you and ask for something. You will give me some gift of life.
Absolutely.
So
it's like a gift. This is a key word. You ask an advice and you get a gift.
Absolutely.
You don't get an advice, you can get a solution, but you get a gift.
Absolutely.
It totally depends on you how you present and implement and reflect.
Absolutely.
What is the one advice that you want to give to organizations of today who face a lot of problem dealing with young people? Because they are, as you rightly mentioned, that they want instant gratification, they want everything to happen very quickly. What is that, roadmap that they need to build to really preserve the demographics that we have so that we have a better feel?
I'm of the firm opinion that today's youngsters are better than us. They have a lot of energy. They want to do a lot very quickly.
Right.
That's the truth. And the organizations have to keep them occupied in that area. At one level, skill them. At another level, give them space to fly. They want to fly. They don't want to be
micromanaged.
They don't want to be micromanaged. They don't want to be boxed in.
Right.
Because this is the new breed. And it's great to have people like that. You should have the courage to face them. They will tell you to your face that you are no good. So be it.
Right.
And be patient with them. And I know for sure that youngsters will deliver more than we old people. They have a wider horizon, but we need to handle them with care. And one level you need to develop them, other side to give them the right opportunities and also that space. They need space. They don't want to be boxed in by those siloed boxes of stuff which has been carrying on for past many years. They are their own bosses and trust them.
Yeah, I think that's the most important.
Yeah, I trust them because because they'll lead, make their own rules. I mean, they want to work from home, and now you say nobody works from home. You only sleep at home.
Yeah.
So that's a new breed. They will work, but if I'm trusting them and they're delivering, they will deliver more for me. I feel very upbeat when I meet youngsters, and that's why I like to spend a lot of time with them.
That's awesome.
They're very
I think
responsible.
Key takeaways are patience, learning, and of course trusting each other, and taking it to the next level together. And I think skilling is very important.
Yes.
And also celebrating failure was like one of the key things that I learned from you today. And I'm sure everybody
celebrate failure and celebrate success. Both.
Of course, both.
Yes.
I think that's one point that I missed.
Yes.
Because I think if you celebrate failure,
you should celebrate success also.
Well.
Yeah.
And I think it's been a great pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Sure so many people
I've enjoyed. It's
been such a great pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For your
Thank
time,
you.
and I'm sure we will get more of your time when we ask you because you've been very busy.
Absolutely.
And
anytime.
We would definitely want more stories to hear.
It's a pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.